ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz. On this week's episode, we'll be talking about the movie Suzume. But of course, before we get to any of that, I am joined today by Earthquake and Nathaniel Gingrich.
That's me. I'm quaking.
You ever been through an earthquake?
I've not been through an earthquake. Not that not that I'm aware of. I might have been I lived in California when I was little, so we might have had one. I just didn't know about it. But
and I'm assuming not many you feel in Arizona. I know it's kind of close to California, but
I don't think you get it. You don't really get any in Arizona that I'm aware of. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Earthquakes in Arizona just create dunes.
Yeah. Like the planet Dune.
Arrakis?
No, I call it its original name.
Dune.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. As you should. As you should. Speaking of which, I'm like 2/3 of the way done with book 3. Pretty good book, actually. It's getting good. And I'm going to come to Nathaniel at some point to buy books 3 through 6.
Oh, no, you keep threatening that, but I've yet to see you enter the premises.
All right, you working tomorrow?
I am working tomorrow.
Hey, man, Adam's really going through some shit right now.
That's true.
Yeah, dude, come on.
Can you even drive?
I've been one-handing it, you know. Don't tell nobody, all right? I haven't been on the highway or anything like that, but just like driving to work, whatever, driving around. I've been doing the one-handed thing. All right, well, we'll figure this out off pod, but I might come in tomorrow actually and buy some books from you because leaving town, skipping town, getting out of here.
Yeah, for sure, bro. I can make some recommendations.
Cool. Can you recommend a book 4 through 6 of Dune?
No.
Okay.
You go in there for him, he sells you something completely different. You come out of there and you're like, yeah, like, dude, fuck that
books.
book.
Also joining us today, of course, is Never After Tyler Verdalis.
What's going on?
Visiting from the Never After, I see.
That's correct.
How you doing, Ty?
I'm good.
How's work going? How's your life?
Work's pretty good.
It's been a little bit since we've gotten together.
Well, yeah, I mean, all 4 of us.
You guys had your little duo app, and then
we had a spicy duo app.
We did.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Furiosa.
It
wasn't a bit of
Are you
crazy? Of crap.
Seriously? So you haven't listened to the episode?
Yeah. I'll rip your
other than editing it and then like skimming through to find the places you guys forgot to timestamp, then yeah.
Did you listen to it, Blake?
You guys are lucky I caught at the end when you go, just Adam can do the show plugs for us. And then I was like, well, I guess I got to do those because I was about to upload it. And then I went back to like make sure you guys plugged to put in the movie for next week. And then I heard that little bit too. And I was like, well, shit, gotta do it all, don't I?
I haven't even got a chance to see the film yet, so I haven't.
No.
I hate both of you.
Oh no!
I was gonna just go along with the jokes on Adam though and be like, "Yeah, this guy fucking sucks, Adam." But then I was like, "I gotta come clean. I actually haven't."
Yeah, low key though, I was gonna go see it Sunday night, and then I dislocated my shoulder and plans changed.
That's valid.
Now you got time.
So now I got time, except I leave tomorrow to go to Memphis. So. For like 2 weeks. So, and I don't know if my girlfriend's really going to want to go see Furiosa, but we'll see.
She should.
Got to use Anya Taylor-Joy as a selling point. So that's how you go.
So
I got to pitch that movie to
she'll probably hate that movie, dude.
For sure.
Knowing her, she'll probably hate that movie and she'll hate me. So, we'll see though. Maybe I can convince her. And you know what? It'll probably be on streaming at some point in the next 2 weeks with how things have been going, and I can watch it that way. Not that I want to, go out and support your theaters, but that it's probably going to be available to me soon, which sucks. But, it's the world we live in now. No culture.
That it is.
Rounding out the squadron, of course, is Big Worm BlakeHolder.
Hey, what up? I assume that's also a Dune reference, right?
It can be. It depends on how you interpret it. It wasn't really meant to be because there are worms in this movie.
No, big old worm.
But I appreciate you recognizing the subliminal Dune message.
Tying it back.
I've got to fit one in every episode. I've decided I think I'm just gonna make Dune not my personality, but my like franchise.
Your whole identity.
Yeah. But
I heard Adam legally changed his name to Dune.
No, it's Paul Atreides.
Sounds like not even Paul Atreides, just Dune.
Paul Muad'Dib Usul. No, but I think that it's looking like that might just be the franchise that I rep now. You know, like I've never been super attached to Star Wars. I never was super attached to Harry Potter. Never super attached to Lord of the Rings. You know, I like all of these, but it's not like I'm gonna die on a hill for Lord of the Rings like Ty does. You know what I mean? Or Star Wars or
like Tyler
or
will.
those series. Right.
Well,
to throw in a caveat here, though, fellas, that also could be a SpongeBob reference and not a Dune sandworm reference. It could be an Alaskan bullworm reference.
Well,
the Alaskan bullworm reference is a Dune reference.
The one that I
sense.
thought was a SpongeBob reference earlier, where you were like, you said you were gonna play along with the joke and be like, "Hey, this guy sucks," and I always think of that guy where he's like, "Oh, brother, this guy stinks."
Yeah, all-time goat material for sure.
Is this the SpongeBob ep of Back Row Banter?
I guess.
That's an all-timer from SpongeBob, and the when he comes up next to the guy, and he's like, "Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town."
Good one too. There's a lot of good ones
For sure, man.
Yeah, SpongeBob.
Not that I'd ever really go back to SpongeBob.
SpongeBob's got some classic one-liners and
Classics, yeah.
And also, just before
But to Adam's point, go ahead.
I was just gonna say before we jump like crazy in, I am ridiculously disappointed in the both of you for not being able to see that movie yet, because I did not get to comment on it. I've seen it twice.
I heard it's really good though.
And it's
my movie of the year.
It's a fucking blast, dude.
Wow.
It's an absolute blast because I want you guys to listen to the episode too, and I want to eventually be able to rate this thing. But yeah, sorry.
I mean, I will absolutely see that movie. It is going to be tough for me to see it at this point, unfortunately. But
I can.
Maybe I go look up how long is it? Maybe I go catch a late screening tonight.
2.5.
Oh shit!
2.5.
Never mind. Never mind. Scratch that.
Yeah, it's not my docket to get to for sure. But I've heard it's good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say you guys. I'm just gonna say the word Octoboss, and you guys are gonna have no idea what I'm talking about. You're gonna have to think about how fucking cool that is, and how you want to know what the Octoboss is. But no, you can't. You've got to wait until you see the movie, and then it'll be rewarded for you.
Idiots.
It sounds like a villain from or like a monster from like a Dark Souls game or something.
I guess you wouldn't.
Octoboss.
I guess you wouldn't know.
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't know. You're right. Oh well.
Continue. Sorry.
I apologize for not seeing it.
Little off topic, but it was gonna bother me if I didn't say something before we got super into it.
No, I'm glad you brought us back to that. That needed to be addressed.
Yeah. Again, I apologize. I wanted to see it over the weekend, just didn't find the time. Unfortunately,
it's all good.
Gravel.
I'm with you.
Gravel.
I did want to see it Sunday night. That was my loose plan if I didn't have anything else going on, and then I had other things going on.
Well, should have been more athletic.
True.
Yep.
Should have been more prepared for injuries, Adam.
Yeah.
Right.
Why
I should just, I should just rub some dirt on it and just and just got to the theater.
Why haven't you been practicing your get backs for 6 weeks to this point, sir?
Right. No, as soon as I signed up, I should have been on the field running.
That's
running
right.
Laps,
you should have been. You should have had a slip and slide out there. That's what you should have had. The
There
classic
you go.
way
There's
to train.
an idea. That is.
True.
Suzume.
It's so satisfying how they say it in this movie, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for sure.
Welcome, listeners, to the main review segment here on Back Row Banter. This is a part of the podcast where we review a movie. you didn't know. Nathaniel, if the listener hears him, or maybe they've just forgotten, can you give them a rundown of how the review segment works?
What up, folks? If you're new, or perhaps you've forgotten, the way the review segment works here on Back Row Banter is we talk about the movie. It's split into two sections, though. There's the first section is the non-spoiler section. The second section is the spoiler section. Pretty self-explanatory. In the first non-spoiler section, we'll go over the movie itself, who wrote it, who's in it, all that good stuff. Generally, we'll go over the IMDb page, go around the quadrant, and decide if we would recommend this movie. It's got to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. From then on, we'll play the spoiler noise. There'll be a spoiler noise coming. And, then we'll go into our deeper thoughts on the movie itself. And any twists, plot spoilers, loop the loops, all that good stuff.
True.
Maybe we'll talk about roller coaster theory again. Who knows? If you don't want to have anything spoiled there for you, go ahead and check the show notes and come back and listen where we rank it on our Entropy list, which is our big list for everything we've watched on the podcast ranked. With that, Adam, tell me about Suzume.
I would love to. This, of course, is not a new movie. Released in the year 2022. I believe its U.S. release was technically 2023, early-ish 2023 spring. I did see this in theaters when it had its U.S. release, a short run, but a good run it was. This is rated PG with a runtime of 2 hours and 2 minutes and an IMDb rating of 7.6 out of 10. This is directed, of course, and written, of course, by Makoto Shinkai. If you are a long listener of the podcast, long-time listener of the podcast, you may recognize that name from a pod favorite or personal favorite of mine, especially Your Name. And we also have reviewed Weathering with You on this podcast. Those are like two of the three. I think we've only done 3 anime films on the Entropy list. So this is his third, since his breakout of Your Name in 2016. This is kind of his third movie. He does have a few before this, but this is his latest project. If we're doing, let's see, cast-wise, if we're looking at the sub-cast, the Japanese cast, Nanoka Hara is Suzume, and Hokuto Matsumura is Soda, and Asuta. So I want to say Soda, but that feels very American to say soda.
Soda.
And I think there's a bunch of like side characters. I probably am just gonna list those two because they have most of the lines here and everything. Same thing on the dub side here. Where is the dub names? Here we are. Nicole Sakura and Josh Keaton are the dub voice actors for our 2 main leads. The IMDb summary reads as follows. A modern action-adventure road story where a 17-year-old girl named Suzume helps a mysterious young man close doors from the other side that are releasing disasters all over in Japan. I feel like a first, is it the way I read it, or is the way it's written by a first grader?
You were not expecting the all over in Japan.
There's no punctuation, so like.
Oh yeah, you're right.
There's just no punctuation, so it's just a run through. Let me try again here. A modern action-adventure road story where a 17-year-old girl named Suzume helps a mysterious young man close doors from the other side that are releasing disasters all over in Japan.
Well, there's a second one here. How does this treat you? Suzume, a 17-year-old girl who lives in a quiet town in Kyushu, meets a young man on a journey, quote, looking for doors. Suzume follows him to a dilapidated building in the mountains and finds it a freestanding, undisturbed door, as if it alone were saved from devastation. Suzume feels drawn by an invisible power and reaches out to the door. Soon, doors all over Japan start opening, one after another. The doors that open must be closed to shut out calamity that lies on the other side. The places she wanders into have a sky where all hours of the day seem to blend together. Beckoned by the mysterious doors, Suzume's journey of closing doors begins.
It feels like cheating since it's more than one sentence. It's not what IMDb is known for.
Nathaniel wrote that.
I mean, that was
just now, just off the rip.
Really? Because it says it's written by Geek Impulse. Do you care to comment?
That's my IMDb name.
I gotta go.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Greek Impulse.
Got it.
You know me.
Yeah, that's you.
The Greek freak, they call me.
That's Giannis.
I'm pretty sure I came up with that. on the internet.
Okay.
He might have taken it, but
He might,
That's
some
fine.
inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's a better summary. Don't really need to fill much in there. It's another fantastical journey through Japan, similar to what we've seen before in Your Name and Weathering with You. Continuing the trend of like not necessarily as much with Your Name as continuing with Weathering with You, or like it's another movie kind of centered around the kind of natural occurrings or natural series of events, or the weather and Weathering with You in terms of like the monsoon season in Japan, now the earthquakes that are occurring in Japan. Your Name, I don't know if they have a lot of meteors or comets that pass through there in Japan that it's like kind of going off of. I don't know for sure, but I think it is based off of potentially a real comet that they see in that movie. I don't know.
It's always some sort of ecological.
But yeah, some relation to nature or a natural event that's occurring is kind of the through line of the story here. And that is, again, the same here. If in case you guys were curious, because I was, as I pull up the IMDb for Suzume, 7.6 rating on IMDb. In terms of comparisons to Your Name and to Weathering with You, the 2019 film, is a 7.5. So this is technically 0.1 higher. Your Name, though, still reigns in at an 8.4 on IMDb, which is pretty high. So quite a bit higher, and still the highest rated of the three.
Yeah. I think overall...
What are your thoughts here, fellas?
Yeah, I think I would overall generally agree with that IMDb kind of split. Mm-hmm. I do think Your Name is still the pinnacle of Shinkai's kind of sensibilities at this point, because like he does seem to kind of play with the same tools consistently and kind of the same motifs. I'm not gonna say like themes, because I feel like the themes of the movies are kind of different, but there is a certain kind of language that he's starting to use at this point, to the point where he's kind of becoming his own little mini genre to himself. Like a Shinkai movie has a feel to it at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you Studio Ghibli. It's just like as soon as you hear that, you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly
or
what
a
I'm in for.
Tarantino
Animation
film
style,
or something as well too.
Or a Spielberg-esque, is kind of used a lot. Or he's an auteur. He's becoming a true auteur where he's got his style, his flair. You kind of know what you're getting out of his movies, that kind of thing.
But yeah, I think I was surprised, because I think even after Your Name, I felt like I heard more about Weathering with You than I did with this one. It was just kind of like, oh, Suzume's out. And then it was like, even people that I knew said like, oh yeah, it's good. But then like, I can remember looking up the IMDb before watching this and being like, oh, people really like this one as well too. So that was cool.
Yeah, I really liked it.
And yeah, I think overall I'm definitely positive on it. I think I'm a little bit more positive on this one than Weathering with You overall. I feel like it's an easier movie for Western audiences to understand than Weathering with You in some ways.
Sure.
Where I think like Weathering with You goes a little bit more on like the kind of like Shinto religion and tradition and that kind of thing, and then has those kind of really strange elements like the gun and everything like that. Sure.
Yeah. The Western audiences love guns. What are you talking about?
Sure,
Nathaniel?
Yeah. But I think this is a little bit more Your Name in its kind of adventure style that it kind of goes for in some ways. And then like half of it's a Pixar movie. Like half of
that's what I came out saying the first time I saw it, was like, this is as close to a like anime Pixar movie I've ever seen.
Sure. And then like it randomly becomes a big... Well, there's a lot that goes on in this movie, actually. I mean, it crosses quite a few genres.
Yeah, it does. Sure.
But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm kind of rambling here, but I'm positive on it. I am definitely a recommend. I think if if you're gonna watch any Shinkai, watch Your Name. But if you've seen Your Name,
Your Name.
Your Name.
Your Name.
I was hoping I was gonna get by.
I'm sorry.
I thought I was gonna get by on that.
Dude, if you say something wrong, you're
It's
gonna
true.
get pounced on. All right?
It's my fault.
That was my Willem
I
Dafoe.
couldn't help it.
Your Name.
Bad luck, particular seed.
A pirate
Right.
literally popped up into my head, and I word vomited, and I'm sorry.
Your Name. No, I heard it too. Don't worry.
I felt it. I said it. Watch Your Name, and then if you really like that, check out Suzume as well too. And yeah,
Question for you, quick, before you wrap up. Did you watch the sub or the dub?
I watched the dub.
Okay.
Suzume.
Suzume.
But yeah, it's if only because, like I said, I think there's a little bit more of a hand-holding exposition on the dubs where like sometimes you wouldn't necessarily get that all the way in the sub, which I feel is sometimes needed because it goes over my head. Well, in particular,
Sometimes.
like something like a Shinto scene or something like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyways, I am definitely a recommend on this one. You can see it on Crunchyroll, actually.
I think it's on Netflix too, from what I saw.
It
when
is
looking
because
it up
I
last
watched
week.
it on Netflix.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Same here.
I was nervous because I didn't verify that. I just saw that on
Nope.
Just Watch, so I'm glad that's actually the case. Cool.
Yep.
Tyler.
Yeah, I'm definitely a recommend for sure. If you're into anime movies, definitely not gonna be my favorite one. From an anime movie standpoint, and then also from the three of these, I think kind of like we've talked about, Your Name is probably my front runner. I think it just strikes a little bit more of a chord for me, and yeah, and then honestly, I'd probably have to watch Weathering You and this a little bit more closer together to decide which one I like more.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm a recommend. I obviously love the animation style. Always love the stories, and kind of what he can drum up next. And big fan of anime water. He kind of keeps to that true kind of 90s-esque that you get in like Spirited Away, and the sparkling and just like the way it looks. It's probably one of like my most comfort things in anime, if I can see that they have done that and they're doing kind of like that same style in a way, or even kind of referencing that kind of style. It just makes me very happy. So but yeah, overall I thought voice acting was good. I am also a dubbed. And yeah, I think they did a good job. I liked where the story went, and we'll get into that. And so yeah, I had fun with it. But yeah, I'm definitely recommend. Just don't know where I'm at on the scale completely. It's either going to be 2 or 3. So Your Name is definitely number 1. And then yeah, just on Netflix. Nothing crazy.
Netflix.
On my phone, because we don't really have streaming for big screens or big
That's right.
sounds.
Yeah.
So headphones and my phone are the best way to watch stuff now.
The way Martin Scorsese
That's unfortunate.
intended.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. I think we all consume enough media on our phones, and headphones aren't bad. You still get pretty decent audio, and
Yeah, the audio is probably the worst.
Yeah.
At least of your words there.
Yeah, audio doesn't concern me as much as just like screen and whatnot.
experience.
But again,
You know.
this being anime,
Yeah,
means
overall
at
experience.
least everything's gonna be clear.
yeah,
and
it's gonna look
bright.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it
right,
shows
right.
well. But yeah, recommend for me. Blake, what do you think?
Yeah, kind of echoing the group here, and I'm probably higher on it than the rest of you. It seems
Oh
like.
yeah.
So yeah, went into this blind, right? I
Yeah.
didn't really know what I was signing up for. And yeah, and ended up catching it on Netflix. So I had an interesting viewing of this though, because my first maybe about 45 minutes was dubbed because I was eating.
Okay.
So I just didn't. I had to have audio, right?
Yeah.
And then once I finished eating, then I just went to subbed. So it was really interesting, and I was watching it on Netflix. But the audio for the dubbed version on Netflix was actually some pretty darn good audio. Maybe if it was just me, I don't really know.
No, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
For the dub?
So
Yeah.
yes, correct. Yeah. Okay. Noticeable uptick in audio quality from the dubbed to the sub when I switched it after I finished eating. So yeah, really interesting. Yeah, I would.
That is interesting.
Don't really know why, but yeah, if anyone wants to test that theory, let me know. Maybe I'm
That is
wrong.
that's odd.
Also, good to hear the Rad Wimps back on the soundtrack.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, they crush the soundtrack every time.
Yeah. So I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Definitely up there with Your Name to me.
Okay.
And I liked Your Name. Wasn't very high on it. Where Adam is, but yeah, ultimately I definitely like that more than Weathering with You. But yeah, really like this one. And to Nathaniel's point, I think it's just a little more westernized, quote unquote. So maybe that's why I was able to get behind it. And also, one of the main characters is a cat. So I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, overall, it cuts deep as you could imagine, right? Which we're now used to from a lot of these Japanese or Asian culture anime films that they're giving us. Whether it's themes of like childhood trauma and things of that nature. But yeah, overall, thoroughly enjoyed it. This is one that I would watch again. And without being said, we know the film looks amazing, right? So aesthetically pleasing is like out of this world. So yeah, we'll deep dive it. But yeah, I'm highly recommend. I actually really enjoyed this one.
I'm glad to hear.
Glad to hear it, man. Yeah. I am also recommend. As I mentioned earlier, saw this theatrical run when it came to US. I believe I was sort of like, as I was watching this, I was like, when I saw it in theaters, was it sub or dub? I'm pretty sure it was the sub. Thinking back to it, ended up actually watching both sub and dub this time around, because I watched the sub initially when I watched it, which we thought we were going to record last week for this episode. Ended up pushing it back a week, and kind of somewhat skipping over last week. And so then, funny if it was, I think it was Sunday night or maybe it was Monday night. After I dislocated my arm, I was like, well, I'm going to put Suzume back on, because it had been a week at that point since I'd watched it. And I was just very curious watching the sub, what the dub was like. It's funny you guys say, and I have the Blu-ray, which was nice. I didn't have any issues with audio quality, but watching both back, I thought the sub was actually dramatically better in terms of like voice acting and stuff than the dub, and like the relationship you kind of build with the characters then. Not that the dub is bad at all. I just thought it's just like a testament to how good the sub is. So if you guys were to watch it again at some point, highly recommend the sub. And if you've not seen this movie yet and you're okay watching subs, I would recommend that over the dub. Something about the Suzume voice actor. Let me grab her name. Nanoka Hara. Something about her in the sub is just like she just brings such an impact to the character, way better than Sakura, Nicole Sakura, the dub actor. And again, not that it was bad, just kind of something I noticed, and definitely came out of it preferring the sub. But besides that, yeah, in terms of like quality and like where I rate this with the Makoto Shinkai discography, especially the ones that we have here on the pod. This is probably 2 for me, and I kind of felt that way coming out of my original screening, thinking that I maybe did like this better than Weathering with You. I haven't seen that movie in a little bit, so I'd have to give that a full rewatch before I could fully say that. It's definitely Your Name number 1 still, and this is kind of a fight 2-3, so kind of echoing what you guys have said. But I do think that. Go ahead.
I think like just on a like emotional level, I feel like Suzume is more memorable than Weathering with You is in some ways.
It is. I would agree with that. I think of the 3 movies, Suzume might have the best like characters in terms of like our leads here. And Your Name is still pretty good. I think it's definitely better characters, and like just you build a better relationship with them than Weathering with You.
Sure.
And I just think you kind of just, especially in the sub, man, the voice actors killed it in the sub, where like you just get a better sense of who these characters are, and they really kill the emotions of it. So I think they're the best probably characters of any of the films. In terms of story, though, it's a little bit different situation. But yeah, I agree with you. I think you just get more of a memorable impact, more of a memorable ending, more memorable all around from Suzume here than it is with Weathering with You. So yeah, if you are a fan of this film, any of those other two films that we've watched on the podcast, you'll definitely like this one. I think highly recommend. Great soundtrack, as we've already said. Great visuals. Yeah, I just really like this movie, and definitely want more people to check out Shinkai, because I definitely think once what's his face,
Miyazaki.
Thank you. Once Miyazaki retires, I think the kind of Shinkai's kind of primed to be that next guy up in terms of Japanese animes that
he's
more
him?
popular. He could be him, man. He could be him. We'll see how many of these kind of stories he's got in the books, because I don't want him to kind of run out of ideas and just keeps reusing the same kind of tropes of like I'd love to see him take on a relationship that isn't male female. Kind of somewhat of a romance.
Apparently, that's I was reading that's what they wanted this one to be. They wanted this one to be sisters.
Oh, okay.
But then the like one of the producers was like, "Your audience expects a romance now. Like, you're gonna have to do that." So I think that's partially, and we're getting partially why the third act is like a little bit more sister heavy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that makes sense based off of like the relationship she has with her aunt in the movie.
Yeah,
that kind of does give me older sister, little sister kind of vibes. Okay, that makes sense, and how that could have maybe influenced a rewrite or something.
What?
That's what they want. The studio's like smut cells.
Oh god.
So,
but yeah, no, I think he's definitely primed to kind of take the mantle of like popularized anime films in the West, or at least kind of lead that charge. I hope more people come following him that get more movies or more anime movies, kind of popularized. But I think he'll probably lead that charge once Miyazaki kind of hangs it up. So definitely recommend here. Definitely want to talk about this more in spoilers. We're on to recommend all around, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then if you've not seen Suzume and do not want to spoil it if you haven't seen this movie and you're hearing us say it like that, you're probably so lost.
Suzume?
And probably think it's really weird. But you kind of just have to see it to believe it, one of those things. But yeah, go check the episode description where we have left a timestamp you could jump to, where you'll be taken to the ranking of the movie up upon the entropy list. Spoiler time, Nathaniel.
Wow.
Oh. So, Blake,
what did you play? I didn't hear it.
Some chimes.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Nathaniel. What were you saying?
I need to know your overall tier level when Daijin was like, "Hey, I just wanted to be your cat."
Yeah, man. This one,
like,
this was good.
Damn, homie.
Yeah. And then even the scene, prior to that, right, where Suzume is talking to Daijin, and he was like, "Well,
you don't love me?"
Basically comes to the realization that Suzume doesn't love him, right?
Yeah.
And he's just using him as like an actual like key placeholder or whatever term you want to put on it. Then all the colors just like sucked out of him or
he's
her.
little again.
Cat identifies as. Yeah, and there were some impactful scenes in this, man. It was pretty good. Where I was like, oh, that's actually really sad. So yeah, it's got some emotional beats to it for sure, man. Absolutely.
Did you guys tear up at the end when she finds little Suzume in the Never After?
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Because
I was like,
because it got
this
me,
is a real Prisoner of Azkaban ending here, but but yeah,
it works, man.
It definitely works. For sure.
Yeah, I think it got me all 3 times now. Where it got me in the first time I saw the movie, second time, and even the third time when I watched it a week later. Like it just almost teared up all 3 times. Just like it really gets you.
It's really
Something
good
about that scene, man.
It's really good with her in the realization of the older Suzume that she needs to go and like be there for the little one.
Right. With the movie starting off the way it does, and
yeah, and then
kinda seeing that
hearing
figure coming back around.
baby Suzume give the whole speech about like asking where her mom is and that kind of thing is definitely the emotional impact.
That kills me.
But yeah, I think this one in particular with like kind of the themes of the earthquakes and the kind of like in that whole like rebuilding and like the way that they kind of like what's the word I want? Dramatize that with the worm coming out and then like laying or it falling to the ground kind of thing, and that being what causes it, and that whole concept is such a high concept and so out there and so original. It just it within minutes I was like, yeah, we're in a Shinkai movie. This is awesome. Like I'm very comfortable here now. This is very fun. This is very, and he's so good at switching tones and not like having you break your disbelief in the movie. You just are like, oh yeah, we're doing this now. It's never like, why are we here now kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's a big talent of his as well as a director. Yeah, this was a fun one. I thought the kind of rhythm that they get into of like finding the different doors and then seeing the cat there, and then the obviously the
journey.
Yeah, the journey, and then the having Soda as chair boyfriend and having him run around.
What was your guys' reaction when you realized that he was just going to be a three-legged chair for 90% of the rest of the movie?
I didn't know how long it was going to last. I was actually pretty surprised.
But you expect it to end at some point, and then it's just like, oh, like we're just doing this. It's a three-legged chair.
As it goes on, you just kind of get used to it, and then you know that's just you almost forget what he looks like.
I think again, like
absolutely, Tyler.
which is so cool because it kind of gives you that vibe when it's just supposed to be a passing in the street.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how often do you remember exactly what somebody looked like when they ask for directions or something like that? Like, it's in and out. And so it's cool that they were able to reference that in the movie. Essentially, they were able to recreate that, because then when he shows back up later, you're like,
oh yeah,
he does look like that.
Yeah. And then I love that he's a three-legged chair as well too. Like,
and it's got a story behind it.
Yeah.
It just it drives them together as a character, because she already has a fond memory with the chair.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
And like, how do you make humans love anything? You beat it up a little bit, and then like we're immediately like, aw, like the fact that it's a three-legged chair. Like,
oh, it's cute.
I also love that they don't give an explanation for how the leg is lost. Which,
it never does actually happen. Yeah,
it never. You never see the leg get lost, which like. Watching it again the third time, I was kind of making the attachment of like, well, you could argue it was like kind of lost somewhere in the fire, the never after, or like basically it was lost when her mother was lost. And I think that was kind of almost, analogous for like once, it's unstable then once her mother's lost, just like kind of Suzume is. She's a little unstable once, she lost, a core pillar of stability in her life. I don't know. That was what I was reading into when I was kind of thinking about like, why don't they show where the leg is? So
our little film theorist is growing up. Look at him, guys.
Just a little bit. I just located my shoulder, but I still got it up here.
Still got the brains. I think, and going back to looks, I think, I think there's a part of me that was a little bit like, okay, I'm kind of used to Shinkai's aesthetic style now at this point, particularly in like the Never After, which I feel is very reminiscent of Your Name, particularly with the comic bit and everything like that,
and the Golden Hour stuff.
Yeah. But I still feel like they've definitely upped his budget at certain points as well too. There's certain shots in this where I'm just like, wow, this looks expensive.
Yeah.
In particular, I think some of the new 3D modeling that they're kind of like doing in there as well.
Yeah, they do a whole like camera pan across a 3D space.
Yeah.
When first discovers the door. It starts on her, and then it like the camera moves within the scene, and then moves towards the door, and very impressive stuff.
Yeah, I think all that looks pretty good. It didn't bother me as much as I would say it has in other anime, where I feel like it's very jarring when you suddenly get that 3D kind of switch up. But I think that again goes back to him knowing his own aesthetic style and kind of like, again, playing in that it's very bright, it's very saturated, it's very colorful. Like you're going to stick with that style, and it's not going to be as jarring in that sense. But yeah, I thought the performances were all pretty good. The characters were all pretty good. I wish we'd gotten a little bit more of the grandpa and the other, like, mirror to Daijin. Sai Daijin.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Whatever his name was. Just so that was
Daijin, I think.
Yeah, just so that was a little bit more, a little bit firmer. A little bit clearer.
The Sudaijin thing comes out of nowhere and is never fully explained, which isn't a big deal because that just happens.
It's just supposed to be the other keystone, right?
It's the other keystone, kind of and it's initially played off as like, oh, he's the antithesis of Daijin, like he might be an evil cat, but then like he's all of a sudden really friendly. So like I wish there was more explanation there. There probably wasn't some kind of rewrite. I also since I have the Blu-ray comes with a special features disc. In 2024, I appreciate that so much because they rarely ever do now. I do like special features. I wish more DVDs would include them, but of course, physical media is dying, people. But anyway, I turned on the special features for this one, and in one of like the director diaries kind of things, he said that he releases a novel of the movie.
Yeah, there is.
Before the movie even comes out. Before it even comes out. The public can go and buy a Suzume book and like read the movie.
Yeah, we have
before
them.
it ever comes.
We have them at work. You can buy one tomorrow when you're coming in.
I actually might.
I think we have your name.
I might buy them all.
You won't even go.
What time you work?
It's off pod conversation. We already talked about this.
All right, fine. Well, yeah, I'm being threatened now. You know what? I'm being questioned. My masculinity, is all up there now.
10 to 6:30.
It's all up for question.
Stirring the pot.
10 to 6:30.
All right, cool. Yeah. But he was saying how he releases a book. So like, I wonder if there's an answer for those kind of things in the book, maybe where he had some detail for Sudaijin, and the grandpa and other details maybe that we missed out on, but. I do agree. Those things kind of felt a little out of place, or at least I would have liked a little bit more touched on for them.
Yeah, if like the door closers have like is there a union? Do they get benefits?
or a Facebook group, even,
right?
A group chat. Are they coordinating who's closing what doors? Like what's going on here?
Yeah, because then that was the other bit that I thought like wasn't really explained. Because when Sudaijin is it Sudaijin that shows up, and then that's what makes the ant kind of angry.
Yes, it seems like she kind of gets possessed by the cat in some way almost.
Yeah,
but again, that's also not fully explained. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm missing.
It's a certain amount of it, like you just kind of got to go with it. But that's familiar with most anime in some ways as well too. And
it is, which is like fine, and I totally get it. Like it's not something that detracts from the movie for me.
No, of course not.
Really. Yeah.
The best part is I'm sure there is. When
Sudaijin turns into the big dragon cat, that shit's dope. At the end with when they battle the worm.
Yeah,
dude, that was so cool.
And I liked the process of the idea of like the abandoned places, and then you have to imagine like what people were like there.
Like the past, like the happiness essentially.
Exactly. Yeah. I thought that was a cool mechanic. And kind of a nice bit that they brought in there.
I like the keyhole like glowing and everything. And then
like the different places too, with the the fact that it's a school, and then the Ferris wheel at the amusement park and stuff, and like the different doors that you would have. And then I'm a sucker. I love to whenever in the Shinkai movies, whenever they meet the locals, and they're like always super cool with them and everything, and they're always nice and so I really liked her little her high school buddy and then finding the cafe ladies.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah, just the whole journey in general was just very fun, and it just gave you it always gives you kind of feel good vibes, and just the overall stylization of the characters, and being able to create such a relationship with them, and you as the viewer want to see more of those things, but they're all kind of answered in a little bit of a way, but you definitely want more of each little thing. But yeah, just so much fun.
Did you guys, so in Weathering with You, what's the character's name from Your Name at this point? I don't even remember.
I don't remember, brother.
It is
they show up.
Taki, that's right. Taki shows up in Weathering with You. Did you guys catch the Easter egg of Your Name in this one? If you haven't seen it recently, there's probably no way you guys caught this.
No, what was it?
I caught it it was funny because I caught it in my screening in theaters, and me and my friend had one of those moments of like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme from Once Upon a Time, where it's like it's like snapping and pointing at the screen. Like we turned to each other and pointed because it's when Daijin is there's like a news broadcast of Daijin or like one of the social media clips or something is at Itadori High School, the high school that they went to.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of the models
that to the island.
Right. And when I think one of the models from that high school is also used later on at the high school where they have to close the door. I think that's also there, but I don't know for sure. But or it might have been the high school also might have been the same model. I don't remember exactly. But that's the only, from what I caught, that was the only Easter egg from that continues kind of like they're in the same universe kind of thing.
Yeah, there wasn't any characters like there was in Your Name and Weathering.
Yeah, I wish there was. That would have been fun. But I was like wondering if they were like one of the banded places they would go to would be like Itadori. Would have been cool, like a giant crater town or something. Would have been cool if they did that, but I'm fine that they didn't. I don't need everything to connect all the time. Love this stands on its own.
As long as there's a little bit.
Yeah, there's
it's
enough
almost
there,
expected now that there needs to be a little bit of one of the other movies, if not both.
Right. Right.
Like it's just we're gonna get little pieces of each movie until eventually all of those are all one movie.
There you go.
What did you guys think of the Kung Fu three-legged chair? Because I don't know if this was really. It didn't have the same effect, I don't think, watching it back or if I watched it alone as it did like watching it in a theater with people, because like it was straight kind of comedy when like we just got it was the jazz chase scene first of all when they first start chasing the cat and it's like the straight jazz track. I loved that scene.
Which is dope. That's my favorite.
It was so good. It was so good. And then he does like a James Bond like jumps off the boat onto another boat. Yeah, that was so sick. But like that scene, yeah, exactly. But like in that scene, we were all just kind of like giggling, like this three-legged chair, like in a chase scene with a little cat, and then later there's like a kung fu fight where he's like, I'm finally getting the hang of this, like I've harnessed my powers, and he's like sprinting up this roller coaster, jumps like 100 feet in the air, and like has this kung fu battle with a cat. Like we were just kind of cracking up a little bit, and that's those like Pixar moments for me. Where like this little toy chair gets personified and like now knows kung fu and is fighting a cat who may or may not be an anti-hero. I don't really know. But yeah, I don't know if those moments came across quite as funny or quite as lighthearted. It seemed a little bit, yeah. You're not eventually. I mean, it's kind of revealed that he's not the one opening the doors. He was kind of the one leading them to the open doors, I think, is what the reveal was eventually. But I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of still ambiguous a little bit.
I think it's also supposed to be just like he is a god, so like he can decide to be cruel or decide to be nice, and it's just how they're going to be at a certain point as well.
Yeah.
The chair. Oh, I liked the. I was surprised at how many times I laughed at just the chair randomly falling over. as well too.
Oh, I sleep in.
Yeah. Like, which is the first time is pretty funny, but then like obviously it soon becomes quite emotional because you realize he is becoming the chair more and more, or becoming the keystone, I guess.
The keystone.
Yeah, but just there are definitely little bits of good physical comedy in here as well too.
Yeah, one of the other things,
a good lighthearted tone.
One of the other things I like to point out is kind of what we were saying was the audio, but not necessarily the audio for the voice acting, but just the overall audio for just the movie in general.
The audio edit. Yeah.
And
audio engineering, or sound design.
Yeah, just the overall sound and the accuracy and being able to make the feet for the chair sound the right way on different materials, and even more or less kind of, because you could cop out and just like, you know, use like the same kind of like coconut effect they used to use for like horses. Sure. You know what I mean? But it's clearly made a different way. It's definitely very cool to be able to appreciate those things when you have a movie that's this in depth.
I love the kids. She's like, oh yeah, it's a AI chair.
Yeah.
I know.
Or the like, yeah, it's got this cool robot software, and he just starts like, roboting across the room. Yeah. Stiff-legged.
Too good.
Yeah, that was really funny. Or I love when she's on the boat after the jazz chase scene, and the guy's like, "So that you see that chair that ran by?" And she's like, "No." Like just stuff like that.
And she's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
Like what? No, didn't see that. Yeah, there's good comedy here. I'd probably say more lighthearted, definitely, than the other two films. In terms of like jokes and stuff like that. Got some good ones in here.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Any other big points we want to touch on here, fellas?
I think that's about it for me.
Yeah. Other than that, just hats off to the ending scene. Like obviously, all the animation was really well done, but the end scene, in Wormtown, I'll call it, and you do have both the cat fighting and the big worm. Like background. It was just it's just that's peak animation there. That takes a lot of work.
I will kind of touch on two more things. What were your guys' reaction to like the worms themselves and like its kind of presence as like a threat or like an enemy to fight, and especially the Tokyo scene where it kind of turns into Stranger Things and it's like starting to cover the whole city? Like, what was your reaction to that? Because I remember seeing that for the first time in theaters. Even all my friends were like, "Oh!" Like once you see that, it's kind of like, "Oh, fuck."
That's a valid point, and that was kind of my first way of thinking too. When the first one shows up while Suzume's at school, and I was like, "Oh, that just reminds me so much of Stranger Things," right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're definitely a big threat. Although I couldn't quite understand how once they're able to put the key in and the worm goes away, and like sometimes it'll end up like raining afterwards. But is that something that they can only see, or is that something higher? You see what I'm saying? Or that entire population is able to see? It's
something everybody can see because when it happens in the Tokyo one, they turn in the key, or she plugs in Suta as the keystone, and then there's like that aurora borealis kind of effect that goes over the city, if you remember. And then the general population's like looking up and like is like, it's what's that? Or, like a rainbow at night, like whoa. So like I agree with you, but I think that's just one of the things. Yeah, there's one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, like that's just kind of the after effect of the worm. But I love the shots of like the reflections and like the water.
Yeah, that was really cool. Or the birds.
That kind of effect, the bird too. There's one shot where like it's a reflection off a bird's eye, and then they kind of zoom into the eye, and then you see. I think that's might have been the reveal of the worm over the city or something. But like they go into the bird's eye, and then you see how big it is, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a bit in Shogun where one of the characters is talking to obviously the guy that's from England, so he knows nothing about obviously Japan or anything, and they're like, and
the Westerner.
Yeah, the Westerner, and they say something along the lines of like, if it's not the hurricane or an earthquake or a landslide or a fire, Like, there's just every chance that something else is going to come in and blow down or destroy your house. Like here in Japan, like you have to understand that we are constantly rebuilding and we are constantly having to just live with life fucking over our living situation at any given point. So like I felt like that was very also representative of this in this movie and very present there of like this feeling of you never really know how close you are to a natural disaster having it occur, and it could just as easily rain as it could earthquake and destroy everything. And I thought that was a very heavy and very Japanese-centric theme that came across very, very well and very cool or very interestingly dramatized in this film overall.
Yeah, I think it also they do a good job at just kind of showing you the overall like housing scenarios that each of those people are in. It's not no place is overly big in Japan.
Right, they're all tightly packed together. Exactly. So if anything does affect one of them, it affects basically a bunch of them as well too.
Yeah, that's a great point. Could definitely agree with that. And then one last thing I want to touch on, kind of going off of the Tokyo scene when Daijin's like, "Hey, millions of people are gonna die. The Earth is gonna break." It's just like, oh my god, like what a line, like what a menacing line to just be like, yeah, the Earth is gonna crack and everyone's gonna die, like millions will die. Just like,
you don't quite understand the stakes. Until like that's said, and you're like, oh, this isn't just a.
And even then, you're like,
oh,
it sounds so sweet and innocent, but what he's saying is horrendous and horrifying. Like the Earth is gonna break is a horrifying thing to say.
Just very matter of fact.
Yeah, and it's delivered so cutely,
perfectly. Like just the cognitive dissonance of like I'm hearing something being so sweet, so sounds so cute, sounds so innocent, but he's saying something so horrifying.
Yeah,
it works really well there.
Suzume
is going up on the entropy list. Welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're going to go ahead and throw up Suzume up upon the entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of all the movies we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. This is essentially how we rate our movies. If you'd rather do it at 5 stars out of 10, whatever it is, we throw up all the movies we review and see how they compare to one another. If you want to reference the entry list for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description where it is linked to my Letterboxd. Gentlemen, this is entry, how many? This is 189, technically / kind of 190. If we include Furiosa, which has not gotten ranked yet because Blake and I have not seen it yet. But once we do,
yeah, we've got to see that to put it on the list though.
I 100% intend on seeing it. For sure. I don't know how soon that will be, unfortunately, but I 100%.
Yeah.
Just based on my circumstances, but we'll see that soon. And then we can get up upon the list officially. But Suzume 189 as it stands here. What are we thinking here, fellas? Let me try to find where our other anime films are at. They're pretty high. Our anime films we've gotten some good ones on here, and they're hitting at a pretty high clip. We have Weathering You is 83.
Your Name's 14.
Your Name's 14, and then we have Spirited Away.
Redline 77.
Redline 77.
Spirited
Away 58.
Yep.
And what did you say Spirited Away was? 40-some?
48.
All right, so 77, 83, 48. Yeah, good clip here for the anime films we've got going. I think Weathering with You at 83 is probably the floor, considering it seems like we all liked this one more. But of course, the floor does not mean the ceiling. I'm curious to see where you guys put it above 83. That's where I'm going to start looking at. I guess Redline's right above it at 77. I kind of got to consider
Redline was dope.
Redline is dope, and I got the Blu-ray of Redline recently too. I've got to put that one back in there.
Sweet JP.
I've also got to find someone who can make me Aim That Cannon at Funky Boy remix, because that thing needs to be remixed. Anyone got an early ranking here? Let her rip as you get them. If not,
I've got one.
You got one? Let's hear it.
40.
40.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fuck Spider-Man No Way Home.
Well, that's okay. So below Judas and the Black Messiah, and above Spider-Man No Way Home. Also above Godzilla minus
that was
one.
tough though. I'm not gonna lie, that was a little challenging. That was a little challenging, but I think my ultimate hard cap though was No Country for Old Men and Avatar: Way of Water, which I rewatched the other day or the other week while traveling. Did a lot of traveling. That's when
Nice.
So had a lot of downtime to watch, and even on a phone, that movie's pretty good, man.
Slaps.
So that
great,
was
bro.
like that was my real hard cap.
That movie
Was
slaps.
Avatar: Way of Water, for sure, bro.
Tight.
All right.
Yeah, I I'm in the same boat, kind of in that same area. I think I'm gonna go 43. I'm gonna put it below Y Tu Mama Tambi and above Dunkirk and below Godzilla minus one. Godzilla minus one, I think, is my hard cap on there. I think both of them are pretty close for another, or excuse me, pretty close to one another in terms of quality. Both movies that made me tear up in theaters. It is tough for me to put it above Spirited Away, but that's the list, and that happens. But yeah, I'm gonna put it at 43. I think this one caught me by surprise a little bit.
Yeah.
I liked
man,
it.
this is good, dude.
I liked it more than I thought I did, or thought I was going to.
Yeah.
Huh.
What about you, Tyler? Where you got it?
I'm gonna be significantly lower. Not because I don't like this movie. I think this movie's good. I had a lot of fun with it. But because Redline's down here, Weathering with You is down here.
True.
Your Name is so high, which is
As
good.
it should be.
I'm not opposed to it being that high. I thoroughly enjoy that movie. You guys all know how I feel about Redline.
Redline.
You guys also know how I feel about Spirited Away.
True.
And Boy in the Heron was dope. So I'm gonna put this thing down at 80, just under Terminator, above Doctor Sleep. I'll put it above Weathering with You, even though I think they're both very close. But I think even Weathering with You could probably get bumped up a little bit because I definitely believe that Redline should get bumped up a little bit. But over than that, that's kind of where my decision lies. So 80.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Adam?
I'll probably split the difference a little bit here. I'm surprised you guys are so high in terms of like being in the 40s there. I'm very happy you guys are. I'm a little surprised, but not mad at all. And Tyler, your ranking too even makes sense. I think you kind of put this up or down. It's gonna be a movie that kind of depends on a few different things. If this was my first watch, I'd be a little bit higher than where I'm thinking of placing it. Because I do remember really, really loving it on my first watch. But as I'm looking at the list, Spirited Away, it's kind of hard to put it above that. Definitely can't put it above Godzilla minus one. You're a little crazy for that, Blake. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not gonna lie. In hindsight, that one's hurt me.
I mean, you can move it down still if you
bad.
want. Like, no rush or no worries there.
I may bump it. I may bump it one, but I don't like Spider-Man No Way Home being that high. But ultimately, there's nothing I can do about that.
Well, that could be a July shift because
possibly
it's coming up in July, right?
Possibly.
Yeah, we're a few weeks away.
Yep.
But yeah, what are you thinking, Adam?
It's tough. I think my cap probably has to be Civil War at 54, so I'm going to put it one below at 55, above Scream. So below Civil War, above Scream, and it's also below Nope, John Wick, The Conjuring, Black Hawk Down, and
it's
like I feel like that's a pretty fair spot for me personally. Are you moving your ranking down, Blake?
I mean, I think I'm gonna stick with it because I moved it down for Godzilla minus one. I mean, eventually I'd move Kill Bill and Training Day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So like, there's certain L's you got to take, right? That's an L I'm taking.
That's valid. That's valid. Cool. So funny enough, that gives us an average rating of 54.5, meaning it's gonna go right where I said it was, at below Civil War and above Scream. Do the math on your own. If you don't believe me, I'm not cheating. I have no reason to. I'm just that good at this, you know.
I should rewatch Civil War though. I've been seeing clips of that
so
come back out
good.
on YouTube. And yeah, the Jesse Plemons scene is fucking a gem. Kind of American.
I can't believe you guys came out of that movie like,
I need to rewatch it. I'm with you. The audio on that.
Dude, the audio is insane on that. And
probably the best audio I've seen in theaters in years.
Oh, dude. Well, Dune.
I mean, this was the gunshots in this were really good.
You're not wrong.
A different type of movie, right? There's just a lot of dialogue, and then the gunshots are very loud.
I think overall sound design edged it out to Dune 2. Just that sand writing scene in theaters, bro. Do you remember that? Because I'll never forget the sand writing scene.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm not even on the sand writing scene for audio. I'm on the Getty Prime scene with like my guy over the announcer. The announcer over like the gladiator battle. I don't know what the fuck he's saying, but that's my man right there.
He's That's not a bad call. Anyway, Suzume slotted in at 55, below Civil War, above Scream. That's going to do it here for our review of that movie of Suzume. Our next review is going to be another animated film. It's going to be Inside Out 2. That's where I was waiting for some applause, Nathaniel. And
sorry, my bad. Hold on.
No, you're good. I, could have cued at you or pointed at you or something.
Thanks, buddy.
Little hard over Discord. Thanks, man.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Inside Out 2, everybody. Pixar's coming back. I think this is our first Pixar since Soul.
Is it really that long? Wow.
Yeah, I mean they've
kind of snoozing
movies. We just haven't watched them, and they've also apparently they've been good, but not quite as good as like you're kind of used to from Pixar.
Yeah.
Because
Soul is that a COVID film?
That was a good film. That was really straight to Disney Plus, if you'll remember.
I think I saw Luca, I saw Turning Red, and I saw Elemental.
I know you've seen all of them. I have not. I've not watched any of those three.
Elemental was great.
I saw Lightyear too, which was ass.
It was good.
We did
Lightyear for sure.
That'll be the last one. It wasn't bad.
No,
but
it was ass.
Pixar. Okay.
In Pixar standards, it's ass.
Luca was so good.
True.
Luca's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is I'm just pissed that they put Luca, they put Turning Red, they put Soul straight to Disney Plus. They bet everything on Lightyear, and that was the shitty one. And now they're gonna be like, oh well, we need to make more movies that appeal to everybody. Even Onward was good. That was good too.
Onward was a blast.
Yeah.
Onward is a blast.
Make Luca too. That's all I'm saying.
Didn't Pixar come out and say they're done making
basically
hyper-specific cultural movies?
Yeah, like idiots.
Which is horrible.
Yeah. So I don't know. Inside Out 2, we'll see. I thoroughly enjoyed the first one. One of my favorite Pixar films of
I might need to rewatch that
post 2010s for sure.
Let's see this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
That is good. And I forgot the new emotions they have in this one. I think it was like anxiety and something else. Definitely stuff you start to see as an adult and teenager. So
yeah, gotta love when adult or animated
anxiety, right?
Have adult themes.
Gotta love it. Depression,
cough. Super Mario Bros.
Anxiety.
So go check out Inside Out 2. Join us for a review of that next week. Fellas, do we want to do a quick what we're watching? We're at 1:08 on recording time or on episode time.
I will only request a no, even though I know we should, just because I have like a 45-minute drive home still. But if you guys want to talk about it, it's really not that big of a deal.
No, I think that's valid. We didn't really record super early this week. And
I know Nathaniel and I got super spoiled like 2 weeks ago because as soon as we found out that neither of you were going to be on, him and I like literally recorded at 4:00 in the afternoon.
That's true.
That's nice.
That sounds beautiful.
It was so good.
Nice.
Yeah, but no, we can skip it. Only thing I would say, as I touched on earlier, Avatar: Way of Water. Go rewatch that. It's on Max. Great film.
I rewatched The Benchwarmers.
Nice.
That's fun.
Which is still dumb, but still funny in parts.
Does anyone dislocate their shoulder in that movie?
That's pretty funny.
You know, I don't think so. Yeah, but it's like it's the kind of joke you would think would be in a Adam Sandler adjacent baseball.
Yeah,
comedy.
no, I guess it's only a joke in my life.
Yep.
Yep.
Not even Adam Sandler could come up with dislocating a shoulder in a rec league baseball game.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's really funny.
First
really
on
funny.
base.
But yeah, 2 innings, didn't even last 2 innings before I seriously hurt myself. Cool. All right. Well, let's get on out of here. Share the podcast, share with a friend, a family member, maybe a stranger.
Talking cat.
Or talking cat, if you know one of those. Well, first of all, I'd love to have that talking cat on the podcast as a guest. But second of all, be cool with that cat. He just wants to be your friend,
Yeah.
Why, don't hate on him. And then if, you pass a stranger on the street, they got some headphones and be like, hey, I know you're listening to something. You could be listening to this podcast. It's pretty cool. And then shout us out there.
Three-legged chair.
Three-legged chair.
Arguably a stool, right? I think that would have been better
Right.
if you just move the leg into the center and take the back off, right?
Right.
Probably be the better decision.
Right.
Who knows?
What if you did that, but then when he became a human again, he just had a leg coming out of like the side of his body? That'd
be pretty funny. And he has no back. It's just like neck on torso. That'd be fucking horrifying.
But he's actually fine. Like that doesn't affect him in any way. Like there's no pain
at all.
Yeah. But it's just that's how
he's
he
like,
is
why
now.
is everybody looking at me so weird? He doesn't know at all until he sees a mirror.
Yeah.
That's
why are
funny.
you all really tall now?
Follow the show on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and our YouTube is just Back Row Banter. Please go subscribe to us there, even if it is not your primary place of listening. We'll go to Blake. Where can the people find you at, my man?
Letterboxd BlakeHolder, be on there logging some things. He gave Suzume 4 out of 5 stars. Really liked it. Yeah. PlayStation, Mr. Water Coolers, Xbox, Mr. Water Coolers, Instagram, Mr. Water Coolers. Homelander just came out at MK1 the other day. Really good. They've got a great cast of guest characters right now between Homelander, Omni-Man, Peacemaker. A few people going out in there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's dope.
That's what I've got going on. Let's go. We'll go to Ty.
Instagram, Letterboxd, and X are all Tyler Vidalis, VIDALES. Adam?
You can find me on Twitter at H24 and on Letterboxd at H. I think Nathaniel will get us out of here.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at @NSGangrick. You can find me on Instagram, NathanielG92. Sandpiper Tapes is my other podcast, and that'll end us up for this week. Be excellent to each other, everyone, and we'll BRB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But we have, yeah. I did only walk. I did just walk to first base.
So-
I had a good at bat though. I had.
Sounds like you worked the count.
I did. No, I went up 2-0. And then he came with 2 strikes. I swung at both of them, tipped the second. So I was like, all right, we're getting close. Like those are my first 2 swings or first 4 pitches off of a live batter in a long time.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, I touched the second one, and then he got the 2-2. I saw him shake off 2 signs, and I was like, all right, well, it's gonna be some bullshit off speed. Like, let's probably just gonna hold back on this one. Sure enough, out of the hand, just comes straight at me. I'm like, all right, we got a full count here. I was just like, I'm just gonna try to make contact, and sure enough, the next pitch was just low, and I just easy kind of lay off there and trotted on the first, and then it was like 2 or 3 pitches later. Shoulders dislocated.
So did you the dislocation? Did that occur sliding into second or sliding into third?
No, sliding
back into first.
Yeah, he was going back to the
you
back.
didn't make it off first.
Yeah.
Do no.
Oh,
He tried
okay.
to-
I've got you.
He tried to pick me off at first, so that's
Okay.
why that's the only reason I dove headfirst.
Yeah.
was
Right.
because
So you
it was
dove
a
back
pick
to
off.
touch the base. Okay. I've got it. I've got the idea now.
And I don't know. I guess looking back, I guess I just should not have taken. I didn't
Should've
even
just
take a
walked
big
it.
lead. Like I was surprised why
Yeah.
I should have walked it. Period. Like I
Yeah.
shouldn't even try to dive
Should've
back. It was
just
kind of just
walked
like an
it in.
instinct thing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think he was gonna throw over because I took a pretty short lead.
Right.
And once I took a short lead, I should just in my head thought, oh, just run back. But it just caught me by surprise that he even threw over at all because I was just not expecting it. So I was on base. My run did come around the score, so whoever subbed for me did end up scoring, which made me happy
Right.
it made me happy that I got a
You did
runner
your
because
job.
if I had to run 2 bases with a dislocated shoulder, I would have done some bad stuff, I'm sure. So
Okay.
I fucked it up even more.
You're just like me, man. My senior year of high school, batting average 0, on base percentage 1,000. Got up once, walked once. Didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got that going for you.
So
What
I'll
is that?
probably
Is
go
that ERA? Is that what that is at
So
baseball? Help me out
ERA
with
is for
stats,
the
fellas.
pitcher. ERA is your earned run average.
ERA
It's a-
is a baseball stat, yes, but it is for the pitcher, not for the offensive.
What does that
It's your
stand
earned-
for? Earned run attempts?
earned run to
At-bat?
average.
Average.
And now is it average runs per appearance or is it average runs per inning? What is the average of, Nathaniel? I'm not quite too sure.
The
Is it
amount
just
of-
runs divided by the amount of
It's
innings
the
you've
amount
pitched?
of it's the amount of batters that are the amount of batters that get on and earned runs against you, basically. Just
Right.
overall, not like per 9 innings
Just
or
overall.
anything. Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. So it's just okay. That makes
So
sense.
it's the average amount of opposing players who obtain an earned run against you.
Okay. I've got you.
Yeah, it's the main pitching stat.
Right.
I feel like that measures how good you are. The lower, the better, obviously. Batting average is what
Exactly
percentage?
what it sounds like. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So so batting average and on base percentage are 2 different things. Batting average is every time you hit the ball, what's your percentage of getting on base from that hit? On base percentage is basically of all of your at bats. How often do you get on base, whether it's on a hit by a pitch or a walk? So those are technically 2 separate stats, so they kind of mirror each other. Usually, your on base percentage is higher than your batting average. Actually, I think it has to be. I don't think it can be lower. So your on base percentage is batting average for a long time was kind of the main batting stat. I feel like more people look at on base percentage now.
For example,
or they kind of go side by side.
In Moneyball, that's like the big thing that they are looking at the on base percentage of players rather than the batting averages, because the idea is you don't necessarily want guys that they can get hit a lot, but if they don't get on base or whatever, that's different. What you want is people on base, so you need to get those, which ended up being guys that cost a lot less, kind of thing. So it's definitely.
Gotcha.
Stats have become a huge part of baseball over the years. Hard to overestimate and overstate how much analysis and all that stuff has become a huge part of baseball. Obviously, that's like the Moneyball effect, but those are the kind of the big 3. If you wanted to go to a baseball game and understand some big stats, those would be pretty much it.
Yeah, I
There's
just
no
remember from the
limit
game I went
to-
to last summer, and there was just the amount of stats I was trying to find on the scoreboard. I was just asking my buddy every like 3 minutes, like,
Sure.
okay, so what is that? What is that? You know?
Yeah. I saw a tweet or something the other day that's like there are 1 million numbers at a baseball game and none of them are the score. You really kind of have to find where the score really is because you're just inundated with all these stats.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to find what the score is, and it's like not
even
really
just like
posted in a big place.
what pitch it
Not the
is,
main point.
how fast it's going, how many they've thrown. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
You know, the inning, batting average, ERA,
Whip.
BABIP. You know, there's literally no end to the amount of stats. that they've
OBP,
created
slugging
for
percentage.
OBP, batted balls now, barreled
Or even
percentage.
just,
They just keep adding stupid stats.
What is it? PAs, plate appearances.
Yeah, PAs.
Whip is the other big one.
Whip is now a big one. I don't even know what that one measures.
Walks,
to be honest,
walks and hits per innings pitched.
Got it.
That's so dumb.
So, yeah,
that's
there's
like
no end
eight.
to that
That's like
shit.
8 stats rolled into one stat. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, but
Yeah, right.
it breaks
Thing I
it,
thought.
it breaks it down to a single number though. So like if it takes your pitchers and like it breaks down like everything about them into just one number basically. How many people are going to get a walk or a hit against them at an average for every inning they pitch.
Yeah, it's like it just feels like a Madden rating.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna judge these guys by the average of the amount of times that they've done literally everything on field, and then we're just gonna give them one big number.
It's true. The difference is in Madden where there's 17 games a season, and in baseball where there's 162. So you actually those numbers bear out a lot more over the trend. Obviously,
out of all professional sports, I would not want to play that much.
I love it. It's still different, man. Baseball's. How do you not love baseball?
Yeah, I want to play baseball so bad.
I like
again.
going to games. I just don't care about watching it or.
I would legit. Hey, Adam, we can go. I'll play on your team next year, bud. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Sounds like you guys need a pitcher.
No.
I mean, you can sub for me this year if you really want to, man. They're looking for
thanks.
pitchers. They're looking for players.
It's all over.
My season. It's all over. Yeah, I don't know if I'll play again at any point this season, even after my shoulder heals up, because it's
He's
going
like,
to be at
ever
least
again.
a month.
Oh yeah, bro. You're
Well, I mean, ever again. I don't know if
how
I'll
long is
play
the
again
season?
next year after this. It goes till pretty much the end of July is like the regular season,
you're
like
not
third
back in
week
your
of July,
you're toast.
and then there's playoffs. So like, could once the sling comes off and I rehab a little bit, but like even then, I'm not really sure I want to risk that. So
Hey, you want me to give you my physical
certainly not
therapy
going to
guide?
happen. Oh, go ahead.
I was actually going to hit you up for a recommendation.
Yeah, I got you.
I might.
As far as the timetable before you had me, I know you're like counting the weeks. You're like, well, like technically I could be able to sling X, Y, Z. And like that's exactly like how I felt. Like I heard my buddy kind of like talk at first, and then like 6 weeks down the line, it's like, hey man, you gonna go to hoop today? And he's like, bro, fuck that, bro. Like, so I'll be curious to know where you're at when we come. I don't know,
we'll
July
see.
18th, and we're like,
Yeah.
all right, you playing baseball,
That's
Adam?
exactly the thing. It's just like, at this point, what's the point? Because I really just don't want to cause long-term damage.
Could you imagine going out there and getting hurt again though? Oh my god.
Right. And I would never like that would be the worst of
Oh my
it.
God,
So
for sure.
So, I would have to feel real confident and play it real safe if I were to play again, and like literally just like take one step off a bag and like barely slide, and like I don't know. I'd have to play it really safe. So I doubt it that I'll play again. It was funny because my text in my group chat like, yeah, it's surely dislocated and all that. And then someone was like, well, how long are you out for? And I was like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
At least a month. At least a month. But I was not really about to be like, yeah, don't count on me coming back. So yeah, but I might go and like I'll probably still go to the games if I'm free, and then like be a first base coach or something, just so I get something
There you
on
go.
my time and money there,
Yep, you already paid for it.
because that was also like basically a $300 registration fee just down the drain. So that's cool.
Yikes.
Yep.
Yeah, on top of it all,
I'm sorry.
I'm never gonna
dude.
see that money again.
I'm sorry, dude.
Hey man, it's all good. It fucking shouldn't have played this in the first place.
No, I don't have that mentality.
Yeah, it was just
you're-
unfortunate, man.
Yeah, it could have
You
happened.
just had an
anyone.
unfortunate set of circumstances.
It really is. It's just dumb, but it's
It is
also kind of
stupid,
funny.
But yeah, it's it is what it is. You like it enough to
It
where
is
you
what it is.
definitely won't regret it. It's gonna make you want to
Right.
play again because
Oh,
like
yeah,
you didn't get
yeah.
the season
No,
you
it
did.
would-
So
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see about next year. I'm not too sure.